in the future, you'll have the ability to interact with others in a positive rather than negative way. Okay, Svetlana, how about you?
Hello, Venerable Sumati. Hello, everyone. Today I would like to rejoice that I
I can't hear you.
okay. Yeah, hello, Venerable Sumati. Hello, everyone.
What's going on here? No, I don't.
Hello, do you hear?
I don't. Oh, there it is.
Here it is, yeah. Hello, Venerable Sumati.
Okay.
Yeah, hello, everyone. I'd like to rejoice that I sent gifts to my mother, some nice stuff that I hope she can enjoy. And I rejoice that I have this opportunity to give something nice for her. And I dedicate this that everyone can reach their ultimate goals for the sake of everyone.
Was it your mother's birthday, or you just wanted to send her something?
No, I just wanted to send her something.
Oh, good. That's the better. That's even better. Hopefully, she'll be very. Does she know she's getting some, or is this going to be a surprise?
I told her that that will be a puzzle, so not a big surprise.
Okay. Natalia, what do you have to rejoice in? Besides having 300 or some 100 people all on that thing this morning. How many people were there actually?
88.
Wow. Good. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that was a very nice call today, and I'm very happy about the upcoming teachings. Thank you so much for offering them.
My pleasure. Okay, Evgeny, what do you have to rejoice in?
Всем здравствуйте. Я сегодня слушал.
Hello, today I listened to the teachings with Venerable Geshe, and her guest was Ali Hasov, and she told wonderful stories from her life that it filled my life because I also was angry in my life, and I thought that everyone is guilty for what is happening in my life, and I am happy that I happen to be in the teachings. I'm studying Dharma, and it helped me to obtain meaning of life and reconsider the fact that everyone is guilty for my bad life, but it turns that I'm responsible for that, and I was guilty for that, and I'm happy for this investigation.
Good, good. Yes, LA has changed significantly since when I first met her. She's a Dharma success story for me anyway. What do I have to rejoice in? Well, I'm getting ready to give refuge vows, refuge commitments, and lifetime layperson vows tomorrow. That should be fun, but maybe 80 or some people. I'm getting excited about teaching the White Tara. Well, I've always excited about teaching White Tara, but now I'm getting a little nervous. That'll be a large crowd, but I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work out. Okay. What else do I have to rejoice in? Oh, one of my contacts that I'm hoping to get information from touched base with me without asking, and just wanted to let me know that she was still working on finding the photographs for me. So I specifically resisted contacting any of the people that said they'd get back to me this week, because it was a short week due to the holiday, 4th of July holiday. And I know how annoying it is if you have people asking all the time. So I tried very hard this week and I got to the point of writing a couple of messages, but then erased them. So good for me. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more about Lord Atisha and his teachings that ended up being the Lam Rim Chenmo. And then that'll be it for this Lam Rim session. Natalia, I think we'll start up again in September. I don't know what date yet. Do we want to keep the Tuesday afternoon, Friday afternoon slot? Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, it's been good. I don't know, Jackie, what do you say?
It's grateful, very grateful for these teachings that we have to share. And if it suits everybody, because my time zone is different, but everyone, you're the majority, so.
Well, we're dwindling down to a few students, so
yeah,
that may change. I don't know. Has anybody listened to the recordings after this? Has that stopped?
Yes, there is a lot of people who listen to recordings after that.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll keep it going and see what happens. Okay, so let's set that date now. Why not? So what in September? Oh, I don't have my calendar up. Let me get my calendar up. Calendar. Okay, August, I'm gone.
thank you so much, Natalia and Svetlana and Evgeny for recording, and to Sheila and Katya as well for staying with our
Okay.
journey together.
I don't have anything in the afternoons on Tuesday again in September, so let's start up again on the 3rd.
Okay.
So I will put down there Lam Rim. And the time, I'll worry about the time later because it's going to be the same time. Okay. Good. Got that little detail out of the way. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the interaction between Lord Atisha and Dromtonje for this class. So I'm reading from the homework because I think this is a particularly nicely condensed version of what he talked about. What event happened between Lord Atisha and Dromtonje which reveals the value which Lord Atisha himself put on his brief Lam Rim text? What is the lesson here for us? Lord Atisha one day granted the instructions of his brief Lam Rim, the lamp on the path to enlightenment, to his very close disciple, Dromtonje. The student was a little bit annoyed since he'd already seen the Lord pass on high tantric instructions to others in their group, and all he got was this little open text. So Dromtonje asked Lord Atisha, why was he chosen to grant this instruction to him? And the Lord replied, you're the only person I could find who was worthy of it. So that's a pretty high praise. How does this apply to us? Remember that Dromtonje was not someone who at first one might think was the best person to whom to grant such a valuable teaching. He was, after all, a layperson, although one with lifetime layperson vows, and one of the few major figures in the history of the Dharma that was not ordained. He was more of a facilitator, making sure that yaks to ride and barley flour to eat were where they had to be at the right time in the right place. He took care to make sure that all of Lord Atisha's material needs were met, although again, in time, he was to write some of the most important records of Lord Atisha's time in Tibet. The point is that we aren't granted the highest of teachings by simply demanding them, by seeking them, or even by being intellectually ready for them. We must plant the seeds to have them granted to us. And so there's no more powerful way to do that than to serve your teacher. And not only serving the teacher, but serving their mission, which is exactly what Dromten spent his entire life doing. What does Pabonka Rinpoche find particularly amazing about how Geshe Kappa himself described the passage of the Lam Rim teachings through the lineage? What lesson is there for us? Pabonka Rinpoche devotes some time to relating how the biographies of Geshe Kappa, written by his close disciples, describe the way in which Geshe Kappa was granted instruction into the Lam Rim, the steps of the path, by none other than Manjushri himself, the angel of wisdom. And Pabonka Rinpoche remarks then that we could trace our lineage of the Lam Rim back to Lord Buddha or to Lord Atisha, as we have been doing, but simply back to Geshe Kappa as he received these teachings from Manjushri. Pabonka Rinpoche then expresses amazement of how Geshe Kappa chose to keep these personal encounters in largely unwritten and largely secret, and chose to trace for his own students the Lam Rim teachings back through Lord Atisha to the Buddha. For us, this is a lesson in humility, in not revealing our own personal spiritual experience lightly, doing so only when we know that it would be of very great value. So if someone asks you, did you go to Diamond Mountain? Did you do this or do that? You obviously should answer correctly, but you shouldn't go around dropping little hints like, oh, were you at that teaching? It was wonderful. It's good to enjoy the teaching, but you should never try to impress someone with the teachings you've been to, because His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama once said of Richard Gere, who I believe is still his student. Mr. Gere had been to all these teachings, but His Holiness said, now you need to practice one of them. A lot of people go around collecting teachings and never pass them, never act upon them, never really begin to practice. So it's very important in the case of the Lam Rim to take on what we're teaching and do something with it and not just listen and forget. Earlier in his lifetime, Geshe Kappa was granted his own training in the extraordinary concise practice of the three principal paths by none other than Manjushri himself. Later, when Geshe Kappa had completed writing a large part of his masterpiece, the great book on steps of the path, he proudly showed his work to Manjushri, who was sitting as his divine, who was acting as his divine heart lama. The enlightened angel laughed and challenged Geshe Kappa to say whether there was a single point in all these hundreds of pages that Manjushri hadn't already covered. And of course, Geshe Kappa was left speechless. We are fortunate that we have received the same instruction on the three principal paths as it was passed down from Jizon Kapa to Gyaltsab and to others within our lineage. It's what made up the entire first course of the 18 Asian Classics Institute courses. When we ourselves reach this point in teaching the Lam Rim to someone, that is, when we are describing the greatness of these beings who are the source of Lam Rim teachings and come to Geshe Kapa's role, then we are encouraged by Pabonka Rinpoche to make a big deal about the major points of Geshe Kapa's life. Now, for me, this is easily done because I have a copy of the book King of the Dharma, the illustrated life of Geshe Kapa. And what we do there is they do what we call a mo. You close your eyes, open the book, run your finger down the page, and with your eyes closed. And when you feel a need, you stop, and that's the paragraph or sentence you read. And often they can be very prophetic, and often they're sounding really silly, but you never know which is which. After discussing Geshe Kapa's role in the... So, what happens if you don't have a copy of the King of the Dharma? Well, I tell you what, after we get done with this class, we'll do a mo by Zoom. That'll be kind of fun. I need to get this on. Okay. After discussing Geshe Kapa's role in the transmission of the Lam Rim teachings in Tibet, Pabonka Rinpoche turns to how various lineages began to form from this point on. He devotes some time to the lineage of the great fifth Dalai Lama's word of gentle voice, describing two different flows of transmission, one called the southern and the other called the northern lineage. There are important details offered by Pabonka Rinpoche on how to meditate upon the Lam Rim. During these meditations, we will be picturing the holy beings and objects to which we go for refuge. We will be visualizing a class of holy beings in order to accumulate good karma with them, and we will be making a very special offering of a crystal bathing house. The fine points of these and other vital Lam Rim practices differ between the two lineages. As Pabonka Rinpoche notes, the southern lineage of the great fifths and the master work came very close to being lost, and we are fortunate that we have his account of both lineages as he received them himself through direct transmission. Pabonka Rinpoche includes in his description of the Tibetan lineage of the Lam Rim a number of anecdotes about the great teachers of these lineages, so we can gain some appreciation of what kind of problems they had or successes. One of the sages of the southern lineage was Dr. Kenshin Tempa Gyatso. He notes that he gained insight into the middle way practice by chopping wood. So how can chopping wood turn into some sort of realization with the teaching? Well, we're about to find out. We sometimes see accounts like this in the scripture, where someone is said to have a special insight into emptiness, what might sometimes be called a peak experience, while understanding that everything is coming from every activity, such as chopping wood, is part of the experience. It's important to understand, though, that these accounts cannot be describing the direct perception of emptiness. Any special insight and emptiness that we have when chopping wood or something like this would most likely relate to the path of preparation, where a well-trained person enjoys intellectual insights into the emptiness in preparation for the direct aversion. We also hear from Pabonka Rinpoche this story of Sato Lama Kyalden, another teacher of the southern lineage. Disciples and sponsors made him gestures of things like gold coins and bolts of silken cloth. He accepted them gratefully and then went out to a place where a huge boulder was split down the middle. There he threw all the offerings, and long after his death, people found them, happily receiving the coins and cloth. He could have passed these offerings on to friends and students, and it might seem, first of all, that by throwing unwanted gifts away, where no one would see them for many years, who was he honoring? A bodhisattva? While others had no objection, in order to make them happy, even if we don't want the things being offered. We learn, though, from Rinpoche that Lama Kyalden was actually worried that he would get a big head over everything he kept. He was afraid he'd begin to think that he was some kind of important Lama. He knew this danger and did what he had to do to prevent it, so we should as well. So what story of the southern lineage do we hear taking place in a meadow, and how might it be related to us? One of the lamas of the southern lineage was named Gelong Chanchub Tolkme. He lived in a hermitage in the mountains, and during the day he would go down to a nearby meadow, make an offering cake of a torma for a deity in the field. He was offering it to help get rid of the bad spirits of the place he was staying. During his daily visit to the meadow, he would take some time to sit down and meditate upon the steps of the path. And every time he got to the steps on the attention with service, he would begin to cry uncontrollably. A boy who herded sheep near the meadow came across him one day and thought to himself how strange it would be that a single old man would sit crying every day. The boy was intrigued and returned every day to watch the scene as it played out. Pabonka Rinpoche goes to some trouble to point out that of all the great teachers of the southern lineage, Gelong Chanchu and I'm not seeing his name. Pabonka Rinpoche offers Chanchu Tokme an important place in his account of the lineage because he had actually put steps into place for transforming his own heart rather than just studying the Dharma. And of course, if we were to reach a point where the teaching could move as small as tears, then there'd be those among us that would consider this a great blessing and make it an offering. I don't think I've never I've got to say I've never done that. Why do we almost lose the oral transmission of the great Lam Rim teaching known as the Quick Path by the second Panchen Lama, Lama Geshe, Lubsang Geshe? No one thought to request this Lama for the oral transmission. There was a yogi named Lobsang Nyamgyal who was staying in an hermitage and retreat not far away. He perceived in his meditation that this total transmission was about to never happen again, as His Holiness was already quite old at the time. Imagine being 88 back in the 1500s. I cannot imagine that. Luckily, he was extremely persistent and so was able to offer, without too much trouble, twist the hand of the gentleman in question. So, what have we gained from this? Respect the process. If you want a teaching, you should ask 3 times. And it shouldn't be all at once. It should be 3 separate occasions. And get ready to be told, perhaps not. Because often a teacher will notice from personal interaction with the student or from seeing them interacting with other students. It's a little hard to do over Zoom, but it can still be done. Don't get discouraged. And when you ask, have an offering. The flowers are very nice. I'm partial to cookies, but actually, I'm partial to M&Ms, chocolate-covered peanuts. Now that is an offering. The only trouble is if my wife sees it, she comes over and gets it and keeps it away from me. She's just trying to help me. Anyway, you make offering, you ask, don't get discouraged. And be prepared for the teaching to be offered at a time that's not convenient for you. Now, if I'm offering it, I would never do that to my students. But the rule for me is if you ask first, and you've asked pretty much 3 times, then your time zone gets priority. Everybody else has to work around that. So maybe I'll ask first for a while, and I can have the time zone be mine. I'm just kidding. Okay, so that's all I have. My headache is certainly coming on, so okay, we'll plan to see each other on the 3rd of September for the next Lam Rim, and I'm going to work hard on the transcription so that we have a more clear picture of what's going on. Oh, we're going to do a mo. Hang on. Let me go get the, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. So think of your questions.
Okay, here's how we do the mo. Let's start with Natalia. So, Natalia, I need you to close your eyes
Okay.
and think, what's coming in my future? What help can I get from Dzongkapa through all these centuries? And I've opened it to a page. I'm going to start running my finger down the page. And when you say stop, I'll stop. Okay, here we go.
Stop.
You've been taking a class from one of the monastery's toughest teachers, and it's one point you really can't figure out. Everyone's been saying that everything around you is being projected from your own mind according to the karma you've collected towards other people. For example, if you have to spend all day around a person who irritates you in a particular way, it's because you've been irritating to somebody else.
Thank you.
So stop being irritating. Okay, Jackie, I've turned. Think of what message you could get from Jizongkapa. I've turned the page to a new page. I'm running my finger down the page. Tell me when to stop.
Stop, please. Thank you.
The mind, though, rightly rebels at the idea there's no sense or reason to anything that happens to us. Master Shantideva then examines the second choice. Perhaps there is a divine intelligence behind everything. But when you watch the news on television or see an innocent child killed in the car, how does that work? What's the point of creating this tiny being and then destroying her before she can do anything to deserve it? Well, that's a tougher one.
Thank you.
This is telling you to catch yourself. Well, it seems to be telling me, it would tell me to catch myself thinking that it's not my fault, that somehow some other being or entity or process is involved in all of this. You have to catch yourself thinking that and then not thinking it. Okay. Let's see who's next. Svetlana, hang on. Okay, I'm running down the page.
Stop.
In his birth, Je Rinpoche is a Hindu youth. In this birth, Je Rinpoche is a Hindu youth named Way of the Lotus. An emanation of the angel gentle voice takes the boy by the hand and leads him into the presence of the Buddha. The child already knows just what to do. He has with him a rosary of crystal beads, hard and as clear as diamonds, and he offers them into the Buddha's hand. At the same time, a prayer comes to his mind. Through this act, may I one day have disciples of my own, and may they all perceive the high truth of emptiness, which the diamond itself approaches. So I think this has to indicate that you're on your way to see emptiness directly. Yay. Okay, Evgeny, here's the last one. I'm running my hand down the page. Tell me when to stop. Or not. Well, I guess he's not there. Okay, I have to do one myself. Okay. J. Rinpoche's diplomacy in the political arena was just as skillful as we've seen from his handling of the mission of the Chinese emperor in his 50th year. Remember that the Emperor of China, surely the most powerful political figure in Geshe world, had sent emissaries to the master to visit the court in Beijing. If Geshe undertakes a journey, it will certainly help to hurt the progress of his students and also be as interpreted as a stalemate about his own position concerning the relationship between Tibet and her powerful neighbor. If it ignores the invitation, then it will understandably ruin any opportunity for political and spiritual alliance that might benefit the people of both nations. It looks like I'm going to be involved in some form of political acrimony, so I'll have to be prepared for that. So that's the concept of a mo. May we have the karma someday to do this all in the same room. That would be wonderful. I don't know if the King of the Dharmas, I think they issued I have a very, this is the collector's, whoops. Oh, you can't really see it. There you go. That's the collector's version, and it ain't cheap. And I mentioned in it in the back. So if you ever get a copy, look in the back and you'll see my name. I was very surprised to see that. That really made me feel good. Okay. May the source of benefit and goodness, the Dharma, spread and expand. May the beings upholding the Dharma have excellent health. May the source of happiness and well-being for all embodied beings, the Dharma top of the Buddhas, always increase. And may I have the strength and the health to continue teaching such wonderful students as you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Have a
Excellent.
good rest of the summer. I'll see some of you tomorrow and next weekend.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care of your dear headache.
I will.
Thank you so much. Please take care.
Please stay with us. Lots of love.
Please.